off my shoes because literally I am shaking. This is a big night for me. If I can make it through it. So, freak out. We were talking, and it was right before the first urban campfire, and Melody was like, I want you to come and tell your story. And she's like, there are going to be 500 women there. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not ready. I am not there yet. I've been doing television for 13 years, getting in front of huge groups and on The View and Rachel Ray and Ellen and things that I never could dream I could do. I was a social worker who organically kind of fell into writing and then, fell into TV and I felt like I was passionate about entertaining. I wanted people to realize that doing things like this builds relationships, and tables are actually a really important thing because they start conversation. And so I had this really big passion in my life. And what I didn't realize was that it was something that was going to take over my life, and that I really I didn't realize that, you look at people on TV, and it's so funny because you had all these great notes, and I was like, I have notes, and now they're all out of my head, and I'm standing here, and I'm freaked out. But what I realized was, you can be on TV and in magazines and write books and have audiences, and you can still feel so alone. And my biggest fear is to be alone. I don't have kids. I have a really great brand that grew bigger than I could ever have imagined. And so, I had this opportunity to go to New York. And I was like, I had a big party, I'm going to New York, I'm taking my brand to the next level. Nate Berkus has me on every week, and, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to go to New York and take over the world, and Oprah's quitting, so I'm taking her job. That was my thought. Well, what I did, actually, was I left and I was married. And I know we're all in here, most of us are probably very driven and we're very career focused, and yes, we're passionate about what we do. But the lesson that I learned in a very, very hard way was that that all means, it means a lot, like it makes us happy and all that, but at the end of the day, is that really who we are? And so not only am I alone, but now I don't even know who I am anymore. So I'm in New York and I'm doing a show. I left my husband behind. I thought he was coming. He didn't. And the show got canceled. And I was like, what? What do you mean the show is getting canceled? I just moved cross country. I spent everything I had getting here. The show cannot be canceled. Let's talk to NBC. This is ridiculous. I'm sure Nate was a lot more upset than I was. What happened, tap dancing. I was tap dancing very frantically, just trying to make sure that I could get the next job. And my husband told me over the phone that he wasn't coming to New York. And I was like, wait a second, I have this big career, and I'm fabulous, and I do these fabulous things, and and I'm totally excited, and this has got to happen, and what do you mean you're not coming? And then the next thing I know, I'm in the middle of a suicide attempt. So that's why I'm shaking up here, because I haven't really said that publicly. It is a really big deal when you decide that you have this big career and it's everything you thought it would be. And then you end up realizing that you're alone. And all of a sudden you're in a loony bin with 15 other people, and you're talking to your publicist going, what the fuck, I'm supposed to be on the Today Show in 2 weeks, And all of a sudden they're like, well, you gotta talk to the Today Show because you're gonna design your set. And I'm like, I'm in the loony bin. I'm like, I'm gonna design my set? Really? I'm gonna design a set. Do you realize that they're gonna say group is in 5 minutes and I'm gonna be on the phone with the producer from the Today Show? Are we serious right now? And she's like, yeah, if you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this. And I was like, okay, so I designed my set from the patient phone in the loony bin. And realized how fucked up that was later on when I was like, wait a second, I was in a loony bin and I cared so much about my brand and about my passion and about my work that I wasn't even taking the time to realize that I didn't feel like I mattered anymore. And then I found out that my husband wasn't coming to the loony bin, And I sat with 15 other people who had friends and family, and they were surrounded by people that loved them, and I was by myself. I sat and journaled, and I was like, I've never been alone. What do you mean I'm alone? Like, how can I be in this place by myself? I'm on TV. People love what I do. I'm on The View with Barbara Walters dressed as a vampire telling me how great I am. You know, how can I be here? So then about a month later, and this is why, Melody, you didn't hear from me forever, because then about a month later, my husband called me over the phone and asked me for a divorce. And then I was like, wait a second, now I'm really alone. So I don't have a husband, I don't have kids. I do have really great friends, but they're all busy getting married this year. And I was supposed to be in weddings that I ended up not being able to be at because I was in the loony bin. And I joke about it being loony bin. It really is a great place. You do get a lot of therapy. It's a great way to take a break from and so then, I came home to Seattle for a very short time and tried to make my marriage work, and that wasn't going to happen. And I was like, you know what? Screw TV. Like, this whole thing it's just like, I'm just trying to be somebody that I don't even know who I am anymore. And yes, it's a great platform, and yes, I love decorating tables, but do I love it enough to sacrifice who I am and really get lost in the process and truly not know who I am as a person outside of my brand? And something came to me. It was like, so I moved to San Francisco. I took a job, a job, 9-to-5 job. And after a year and a half of doing that, being away from everybody I loved, I was like, what am I doing here? I'm working for somebody else. I really love working for myself. I'm not being creative. I'm an artist. Like, I love to create. This is not making me happy. I need to figure something out. So I came home, and that was in May. And I moved back into my big house on Queen Anne, and I was like, okay, now what? I'm back in this house where I've had 2 divorces because all I've done is focus on my career. I bought the house to have kids running through it. There are no kids running through it. I have a 5-pound dog who's 14. So I'm like, so Mikey and I are hanging out, and we're like going, what the hell? What's next? And I'm freaked out. And what I decided was ultimately the most important thing. Yes, I'm passionate about what I do, and I want to continue to do it. And I did the Steve Harvey show last week. Like, I'm still out there kicking around, right? But at the end of the day, it's not the most important thing to me anymore. And I had to ask myself the question, the story that we make up in our head about what we're supposed to do, what we think we're supposed to do, is what really screws us up.
Wow.
Right? So we have a story in our head. I'm doing all this TV. I'm supposed to do this, and I'm supposed to land a national show, and I'm supposed to write a second book, and I'm supposed to. And I'm so screwed up because that's really, I got there, I did all that, but guess what? I'm alone, and that's my biggest fear, and I'm not even happy anymore. So now here I sit in Seattle. I immediately was like, okay, I'm going to pick up my Seattle Magazine stuff. Maybe, I could go back to King 5, but ultimately, at the end of the day, the most important thing for me at this point is to step back, take a break, and go, what is next for me? Not what everybody thinks I should be or thinks I should be doing, but what do I want to do? What do I want my next 40 years to look like? And what do I want from that? And so I guess I pose this question to you as you sit in your groups and you talk about what freaks you out. Like, are you in your life trying to be the great daughter, the great husband, the great wife, the great husband? I say that for you back there, Paul. Which, by the way, I think you are a great husband. Are you trying to be something that you think you should be versus really who you want to be? And are you asking yourself that question? Because I can tell you 13 years went by really quickly, leveraging the next thing into the next thing into the next thing and the next thing. And, I don't want the next 13 years to go by and be sitting there going, oh, wait a second, this is what I thought I wanted, but in reality, it's not. And I'm grateful every day now that I'm here alive and I'm thinking, and I'm passionate, and I'm surrounded by good people. And so I'm grateful to be able to share my story with you, because I've been holding it in since I came home, trying to be the same Kelley Moore that, like, you know, tap dances a lot. And the truth is, I'm done tap dancing. So that's my story. That's what freaks me out.